Welcome. Happy Military Family Appreciation Month. Our topic today is Army Enlistment and the Army March to Success program. What a great day to discuss serving our military on the first day of the month that we honor and express our thanks to our resilient military families. Even after 34 years serving alongside my naval chaplain husband, I never tired of hearing the words, thanks for your service. We appreciate you joining us today. Would you be willing to go ahead and share this live right now in your homeschooling community so we can expand our reach? This is our ninth military Facebook Live. My name is Natalie Mack, and I am the HSLDA Military Community Outreach Coordinator. As I mentioned, I'm also a retired Navy chaplain's wife and homeschooling mom of five. Four have graduated, gone on to college, and graduate school, and I have a current 10th grader. One of the components of our military community outreach program is to provide you with military related homeschooling content via a monthly Facebook Live, such as this one today. There are so many more facets of our outreach program, and we welcome your feedback as we continue to expand. To all my fellow military homeschooling parents joining us on Facebook, we're so glad you are here. Will you please let us know in the comments where you're joining from? Also, be sure to put any questions you have for our guests in the comments, and we'll save some time to go over the questions later. So, today, joining me to discuss Army enlistment and the Army March to Success program is Nelson Castillo, the 2nd Recruiting Brigade Education Services Specialist. Nelson is also a homeschooling father and is passionate about sharing the option of Army enlistment with his fellow homeschoolers. The Army has a fantastic tool, March to Success, to assist students with taking and preparing for any type of standardized testing, like the SAT and ACT, as well as to study for the ASVAB, which is Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery. But that isn't all. I'll let Nelson fill you in later. And also joining us is Kevin Boden, our newest attorney, homeschooling father of eight, who served for 10 years as a United States Air Force JAG officer, and he continues his service in the Alaska Air National Guard. He is actually joining us from North Pole. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Nelson. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
So we
Natalie.
have, yeah, thank you also. As you all are coming in, viewers, thank you for joining us again. Please go ahead and let us know where you are joining us from and any questions. And we will go ahead and get a little bit of time at the end to go over those questions as well. So, Nelson, I've prepared a series of questions to ask you. These are questions that are likely often asked by parents and homeschool teams. Let's start with, what are some of the common reasons young people want to enlist?
Well, thank you, Natalie. And I just want to say thanks to the HSLDA for having me and having me represent the Army Recruiting Services. I really appreciate it. So, just next to me, in case anyone has any questions relating to recruiting, I have Sergeant First Class Cardona, who's will be able to answer any other questions later on. So, Natalie, thank you for your question. We see an array of reasoning why anyone wants to join the army. One of those is patriotism. The other one
Mhm.
is they want to find education money for college or to take college courses or get more experience in their desired field of choice. Some of them want to travel and someone or an adventure. Uh, we do have some other ones that want to leave their small communities and just see what is out there out in the world. So there's a mix of reasoning why someone wants to join the military.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It is an increasingly common choice that we see at HSLDA with families that contact our consulting department, and we just want to make sure that we get the right information to our membership. And so we appreciate you joining us. We really do. We thank you so much for that. So, one of the main questions that we often get is, what type of education credentials is a student required to have that they would submit to the Army as part of the education verification process. What type of documentation? And I can speak a little bit from having been an high school educational consultant prior to becoming the outreach coordinator. I know that there's lots of documentation that we advise our parents, our members to keep track of. Obviously, the transcript is one major one, of course, or the major one. But there's other documentation, and there are other requirements that you look for young people, homeschool teens who are saying, "I want to enlist," and they are in a recruiter's office. What are some of the things that you want to share with our audience?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Natalie. This is a very important question and one that we see pretty much every single day as we evaluate education credentials from applicants that are trying to join the Army. I would say that any parent that is here listening to us and looking at us, they can actually log into your website, HSLDA, and in that website, they're going to find the requirements that each state has for homeschooling.
Mhm.
So, since I'm the one that's pretty much representing the whole of the United States, I can tell you that every state has different requirements for entry for how they have to submit paperwork to kind of formally say that they are homeschooling.
Mhm.
So again, I will submit to each parent that is looking to log into the website and look. But the minimum is to have a high school diploma, the
Mhm.
high school transcript. The high school transcripts have to show all of the classes that have been taught by year and by kind of by semester, just like a regular high school transcript would. We also ask parents to write a letter. It does not have to be certified, but just a letter that states that I so and so homeschool my child in a homeschool program starting from what date to whatever date, and how many years they have actually homeschooled. Now, again, we look at the requirements that each state has, and then we ask those applicants to get us the paperwork. For example, in Georgia, we will ask them for them to provide us a homeschool notification letter that they submitted to the state. If you look in Texas, there may not be a requirement there. So, like I said, every state is different, but we will definitely let the applicant know what requirements they need to have as far as paperwork is concerned so that we can go ahead and process the application. So again, it has to be the high school diploma, the transcript, a letter by the parent just saying what and how they taught. That's just so that we know and we can see how much homeschooling they have. Now, part of our Army regulation, and probably is true for all of the other services, is that homeschooling is a parent director to student. In other words, if a student gets a distance learning type of booklet where they're just doing the work themselves, that's just distance learning. So homeschooling for us have to be parent directed teaching. In other words, the parent has to teach them. And one of the other rules that we have is that uh, the student has to have been homeschooled for the last 9 months in a homeschool program, so that they can be coded as a homeschool student.
So, students who may have transitioned into homeschooling from a traditional academic environment like the local public school, and then once they do that and they begin homeschooling, then the homeschooling parent owns that transcript. And so that wouldn't be a problem. They would just put the classes they had previously taken as normal on the transcript.
Very good question, Natalie. So many times, what we find is that a student may have attended ninth and 10th grade in a regular public school or a private school, and then the 11th and 12th grade in a homeschool program. So we will either ask that all the classes are put in a homeschool transcript, or we will also ask to see the transcripts from the public school just to make sure that all the classes are pretty much the same across the board.
Okay, okay. That's really helpful to know. Definitely. Thank you. We, like I mentioned, on the high school educational side is where we recommend, starting to create that transcript early so that families, particularly the mom, but it just depends on who's the one that's has the most information about the academic progress of the student, we recommend they start as early as they can to just at least have the document available. And as the years pass through high school, then the students, are completing classes. The parent can then add to that transcript so that it's not something that parents feel any additional stress than already exists through the high school process with the transcript creation. And so this is really good information to actually know to have for our parents. Some of what you were saying in my mind mimics a little bit of the NCAA process. And so we do know homeschoolers choose a variety of ways to home educate, and ultimately it sounds as if the parent needs to be the one that is still the administrator of the homeschool program, is what I'm hearing you say.
That's correct. But I will also posit to you that in some states, and probably all of the United States, uh, many states are requiring students to have at least two classes in a virtual environment. I know that Florida requires all of their students to have virtual schooling, and
Mm,
so that is an acceptable form within the homeschool lane for those students to attend a virtual homeschool. Just the whole program cannot be a virtual school, but if they're taking virtual classes, that is great as well. And there are other states that you have to pretty much join a co-op or what we call a homeschool umbrella program. That is also an acceptable form and means for homeschoolers to attend their homeschool. So in other words, they can go to a co-op and have classes taught by science, math, but the majority again of the bulk has to be done by the parent at home. So
okay.
that is really the distinction. But we do accept co-op virtual schooling as long as it's just not the majority of the of the schooling, because then it
Okay.
just becomes a virtual program.
I understand. I understand. Okay. Um, I don't want to assume that parents and students that may be listening know the process to enlist. And so I know that we just discussed what the academic and educational documents would be. Well, what's the process? I know that some areas do have recruiting commands. Some, you see, and sometime in malls, you'll see a recruiting center. Is that the main way that a student who wants to enlist in the Army would contact you, or what's the process? What's
Yeah.
expected?
Absolutely, Natalie. Thank you so much for asking the question. Well, like I said, I'm going to try to answer a few just so once in my lane.
Sure.
However, I am going to let Sergeant First Class Cardona answer the whole process. Well, first I'll let her start, and then
Okay.
I'll,
Sounds
I'll
good.
continue on.
Sounds good. Yes. Come on and join the conversation, Sergeant First Class. I said we're going to bring you on in. So thank you so much. Our audience is friendly. We're great. So what's the process? Can you just share a step by step kind of overview? I mean, you don't have to go into a whole lot of detail as much as you feel led to.
Okay, so the process starts with the individual somehow meeting their recruiter. That could be over the phone, Googling, nearest Army recruiting station. It could be meeting them when they're walking around their community. They see an individual in uniform and walking up to them, hey, I'm interested. Or it could be going on goarmy.com
Okay.
and putting their information in there saying that they're interested. And that information gets sent to a local Army recruiting office, and they will be reached out to, typically within 24 to 48 hours. So those are a couple of different ways, especially if we're talking about homeschool, that they
Yes.
can reach out to Army recruiting stations.
Okay.
Once they've done that, an appointment is scheduled. They bring their parents in, they sit down with the recruiter, they ask any and all questions that they have. And then the recruiter goes through what's called a pre-qualification checklist, just to make sure that that individual is pre-qualified to join. And then the recruiter starts explaining what active duty is all about, what it entails, what the Army Reserve is all about, maybe any incentives that are, being offered at the time. And then they go in and they do a practice test. The practice test allows us to get an idea of what the individual might score once they take that ASVAB test with us. We recommend March to Success for them to use as a study guide or study material to prep them for the ASVAB test. Once they do the ASVAB test, they are considered test qualified. Then we talk to the individual about the next step, which is doing a full physical at our local MEP station. If they pass the full physical, and there's no, questions from the chief medical officer that we need to answer before we move forward, the next step after that is for the individual to sit with their recruiter and look at the different jobs that they qualify for and that are currently available in the system. The individual goes through all of those jobs with their recruiter. The recruiter explains any incentives that may be attached right now. For example, we have duty station of choice attached right now to some jobs.
Oh, wow, nice.
Is one of them, so if anyone's interested. So they go through any incentives that are currently attached to the jobs. The job breaks down everything as far as the day they leave for training, all the way to where they're going to go and do their training at.
Wow.
Once they decide on a job, the recruiter will reserve that job, and that job is good for about 6 days. In that time, the recruiter schedules them to go back to MEPS. If they have completed the physical already, then they just go sit with the guidance counselors, and the guidance counselors are the ones that create the contract and take that reservation and lock it in for the individual. And from that day, they're a future soldier until the day that they leave for training.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you for that step by step. I want to remind our viewers, if you have questions, please put questions in the comments, and please share this live so that others who are looking for this information have access to it. So a couple of things that I heard you mention, Sergeant First Class, is the parents come in with the teen. And so for many of our homeschooling parents, that's probably good they want to hear that. I know I honestly would want to hear that. So that was good. And so the other, you mentioned that the student will be given a practice test to see how they might do on the ASVAB. So is this something that students should pre-practice for the practice test, or what are your thoughts about that? Because I do know that there's that we're going to talk about, right, the March to Success, which will help students with all kinds of testing, but should they practice or be prepared for that initial practice test at all?
Well, the thing with that is that most of the time when we sit down with someone, they don't even know that there's a practice test that we need them to take. So they don't know that they need to study or should study. They don't have to. Okay. The practice test really goes over arithmetic reasoning, paragraph comprehension, word knowledge. A lot of that is high school level information. So they don't really need to study. If they're aware that they're going to be given a practice test, absolutely. And you can find all kinds of ASVAB practice material or ASVAB study practice tests online or even on your phone if you go to the App Store.
Right. Okay.
Can I ask a question here, Natalie?
Sure. Yeah, Kevin, definitely jump in, please.
Yeah, so just some of the stuff that we hear in the rumor mill is related to the ASVAB test is that a homeschooling student needs to perform better on the ASVAB to compensate for a homeschool diploma. So I've not found that to be true, but I just want to give you guys an opportunity to kind of put that to bed for anyone that's listening, that there's no compensatory requirement and that they don't have to do better on the ASVAB because they're a homeschool student. So I'm assuming that's true, but if you guys can speak to that for the families, that would be helpful.
Absolutely. Kevin, thank you so much for that opportunity. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that the Army or any homeschool student does not need to score any better than anybody or any other student who attended a high school, a regular high school or a private high school. All the scores are the same, no matter which part of the education spectrum you come from, and each person scores and achieves in individualistic. So that means that they don't have to score better than anybody else to come into the service. Not at all.
Okay.
And that is true.
Okay.
A high school diploma and a high school education, homeschool high school education is the same as a regular high school or a private high school.
Okay. Thank you for that. Hopefully that's helpful to parents that may have that concern.
I
Yes,
appreciate that, Kevin. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Thank you.
absolutely. Yes. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah. Medical conditions you mentioned. Is there any particular medical condition that a student might have that they maybe shouldn't consider even coming to a recruiting command?
No, I don't think so. Because recruiters, we're not medical, we're not
Right.
doctors or anything like
Right.
that. We do have some guidelines that we can look up, we can research, and then we will let the individual know, hey, this may or may not be a disqualifying condition.
Right.
And so what we'll ask them then is for medical records on
Okay.
that situation. And
Hmm.
we'll collect those and we'll turn them in to the chief
Hmm.
medical officer, and
Hmm.
he'll do the review. If he
Okay.
feels that something is disqualifying, he'll let us know. If he feels like I need a little bit more information, he'll let us know what information he wants. But no, we don't disqualify anybody. We just collect the information and turn
Hmm.
it into the medical officer.
Okay, okay. I know that question comes up often, so that's good to hear. And I'm laughing because I know with being military I myself and the acronym. So I heard you mention MEPS, and so for parents who may not know, I know a little. I know the first three letters, and I'm assuming the last, the S is systems, but I don't know military entrance processing.
Station.
Station, got it. I knew it was something. So every once in a while, even military families don't know all of the acronyms and what they stand for. But I just wanted to make sure that we explain that one too, because families may that are not military may say, I don't even know what MEPS is. So
No,
thank
I
you, thank
appreciate that.
you. Yes. Is there anything else about the process? Anything else that you all want to add? And before we go on to our next question, anything?
No,
I'll give.
oh, sorry. Go ahead, sir.
So I was going to say, you mentioned that they'll hold that job for 6 days. I think we recently had a situation where I think the Army was able to. We were working through some paperwork issues, specifically the letter that Nelson mentioned earlier. And if I recall correctly, the Army was able to kind of hold that position for him and extend that opportunity for this particular student past the 6 days. So I think is that normal policy for that to be able to occur, or
So it's a exception to policy, situation by
okay,
situation. The typical is it's really 7 days, but it counts the days that you reserve the job. So if I reserve the
gotcha.
job today, my individual is not scheduled to go yet. So I take that day off and I just say 6 days. That also includes weekends, which MEPS they're not open.
Yeah.
So the job is reserved. If there is something like you just mentioned, if that comes up, then there are exception to policies that are sent up, and those are explained and requested. And I haven't seen one that's been disapproved.
Okay.
They do everything they can to keep that
Yeah.
individual's.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I guess maybe the takeaway too, Natalie, for some of our families is, reach out to you quickly if there's an issue, and reach out to the legal department so that we can
Right.
kind of address those as quickly as we can, given the timeline. So
absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
And Natalie, I just want to reiterate that for all the families that are listening or that will see this later on, is to if their child is interested in the Army, no matter if it's in the 8th grade, that they need to start saving and making sure that they are following the whatever laws they are in whatever state, so that when everything is submitted to the recruiter, the process is much smoother than sometimes districts or state. They destroy records after a certain time frame, and then we no longer have that, so we have to recreate a lot of stuff on the back end. And
Okay.
so
Hmm.
that I would just urge parents just to save everything, no matter how long it is, because that is maybe something that they need later on. And probably the same is true for colleges.
That's
Okay.
definitely probably one of the recruiter's biggest struggle as well, is asking for certain documentations, and the individuals, I don't know, I don't have it, I don't remember,
Hmm.
and then trying to figure out where to find that from. So yes, if they, as they go, if they can just save everything,
Hmm.
that would be the most helpful.
So, as an example, here in Virginia, for we submit. Well, one of the ways that we can homeschool in Virginia is we turn in a notification of intent. NOI is what it's called. So some states do require something. So that type of the response that we get back from the state, that's what we want to keep, right? As just as an
Exactly.
example.
Yeah,
Right.
and that is particularly important because when the state replies and says, "Yeah, you are good to go to homeschool," we have a date, and then we know when that particular parent started to homeschool. That
Okay.
is a benchmark of date because, again, if you remember in our regulation, the Army regulation states that a particular person has to be in a homeschool program at least the last 9 months before we can call him a homeschool. So, for example, if somebody comes in as a senior and they only did 3 months in a homeschool program, we may not be able to get that person into the Army as a homeschool program, as a homeschool student. They
Mhm.
have to have the last year in a educational homeschool setting. And so that date becomes very important for us because that's how we determine the length of homeschooling that that particular student has.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Um, we've had a conversation, Nelson, previously about what you see as, um, I guess, the advantages for the Army in terms of seeking and talking about recruitment within the homeschool community. And so I know as a homeschooling mom of what this is 22 years, I can brag about homeschooling and the benefits and the advantages and where kids go. But I know the Army is also invested and interested in the homeschool community as well. And can you share a little bit about your thoughts about what do homeschoolers bring to the table? I can say, but I was just wanting to give you an opportunity to
Well,
share.
to all those parents out there, first of all, I would like to say thank you. And I say thank you because my experience, again, in my little lane in the educational realm, is that most of the homeschool students that come into the Army, they score very well on the test that we had just stated called the ASVAB. I would say at least 9.5 of them score very, very well on that test. So that means that homeschool and home education works. We have very bright students that come from the homeschool community, and again, they score well. So one of the things that you ask is the benefits that they will get or what is it that they are trying to find when they come into the military service. And I'm sure Kevin has idea because I know that he serves as well. I have a recruiter right next to me, and I'm a retiree myself, and I was homeschooled as well when I was in my early teens. And I will tell you that uh, the Army has helped me from the time that I enlisted back in 1990 to the time that I was retired, that I was able to get an associate's degree, bachelor's degree, two master's degree, and close to a doctorate degree, uh, based upon just just in the education realm. But many students, homeschool students that come in, they already come in prepared to do a specific type of job. And I can tell you that the Army has what is it, 220 types of career choices that they can choose and get. So right now, CTE, Career Technical Education, is huge. STEM is huge in the United States. And I will tell you that the military has career options for every one of those students that are seeking to get certification in anything dealing with welding, mechanics, being a mechanic for airplanes or aircraft. So there is a wide range of opportunities that a particular person may be able to get as they are able as they join the military. And not only that, but then the military pays for every single certification in the field of IT, for example. Those certifications are very hard to pass and probably expensive, and you have to spend and invest a lot of time of your time to get the certifications. And the Army makes that possible by sending you to school, paying for all the certifications, so that whether you stay in the Army for 2 years or 20 years, when you come out with a certification that's going to help you get a great paying job. And I will tell you, I'm just going to touch very briefly. This is not part of what we really want to talk about, but I just want to stress to every parent that's out there, and even all of the students, that the Army has a program that we call the Concurrent Admission Program. And that program speaks to every recruit. Before they join the military, we talk to them about college or career technical type of education. So we have over 1,900 colleges and universities that are partnered with us, and we let that soldier, that applicant and recruit know that education, post-secondary education, is very important to their careers. If they want to keep in the Army, they are going to need to have some type of college, because that is one way for you to get promoted. But a person that just wants to say, hey, I want to do 4 years or 6 years in the military, we also stress that, hey, you don't want to spend 6 years in the military and come out with no educational credential. So we also push them to get some type of associate's, a certification and a bachelor's degree that will definitely help them gain not just with the military experience that they have, but the education credential that they also will have to gain a wide array of opportunities in the military. I mean, in the civilian world. So there's just a vast array of opportunities for anyone that's interested in the military career.
Thank you.
If I can add to that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
The Army has its versions of transcripts also. They're called Joint Service Transcripts. So any military school or Army school that they go to, for example, basic training, advanced individual training, which is where you learn your specific job, those go on these transcripts. So when you are applying to a school, or you're already enrolled in college and you complete an Army course, you can take these JSTs, turn them in, and ask them to be evaluated. And what they'll do is they'll evaluate those classes, and if they can turn it into a college credit, or if it can be counted towards one of the classes your degree plan wants you to take, they can give you those 3 credits already, and you never have to take that class, because the Army training has already covered that.
That covered it, right? Awesome.
That's a great point. When I was in the military, and just very quickly, because I know that we have a lot more stuff to cover, but when I was in the military, I did human resources, and then I also went to a lot of leadership courses. And when I was going through my bachelor's degree and I applied to Wayland Baptist University, which is the university I went to, I submitted my joint service transcripts, which had in detail all of the military courses that I've taken. And I can tell you that I received about 20 something. It's been a few years ago, but I received about 24, 26 credits in electives that I didn't have to take. So that saved me a little bit.
Yes, I know. A little bit of money, right? Yeah, definitely.
I was looking at that saved me almost a year of not having to take courses.
That's awesome.
That put me that much farther ahead. Yes, ma'am.
I love that. I love that. I thank you so much for all the information, because I tried to come up with pertinent questions, but I'm thankful that we're all adding to the conversation, because this is information our viewers will want to know. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
So we do want to transition, because I really want our viewers to hear about the March to Success program. And so, and like we've talked a little bit, we know it's not only focused on helping our students pass the ASVAB, but it's also for standardized testing, period. And it's a free program. And I don't want to steal your thunder. So you go ahead and please go ahead and just share with us now about the March to Success program, and all the benefits and how it can be helpful for our viewers.
Wow, Natalie, thank you so much. That I would just like to say that the March to Success program is the Army's marquee program, and I will tell you that no other service has a program that is equal to this. So I'm just holding up here, and maybe everybody can see.
Nice. Okay, that's the user guide. Yes.
Right, and then right here, this is the website that I will be mentioning very frequently here.
March2success.com. Okay, easy.
Correct. So, in a nutshell, and before I start, I just would like to remind every parent and every leader, homeschool leader that is listening to us, that there is one of me all across the United States. And I'm going to talk about how you're able to find one of us that we'd be able to come down to a homeschool organization day or to a co-op or wherever, and we can actually go more in depth into the program than I can right at this moment. So the March to Success program is developed by Peterson's. Peterson is the same company and or organization that provides the same courseware commercially. So as a for parents that are on a financial crunch and they want to spend money on their students to get the same type of program, I can tell you that I'm going to be saving them anywhere between $300 to $500 because that's how much a parent is going to pay per student for the same type of services that the March to Success has. Now, right up front, I would like to say that the March to Success program is no obligation for any recruiter to contact so if anybody registers on the website, the Army does not get that information. So we are not going to call anybody unless they want to be called. There is a button there that says, would you like to be contacted by a recruiter? If they say yes, then we will get that information. But other than that, no. Also, point number 2 is that the program is absolutely free. And so I am going to talk about it just for a little bit. And then hopefully this is something that has value for every type of student that currently have in the homeschool community. So what is the March to Success? So March to Success is an online test preparation program to help any student prepare and pass any type of standardized testing. So we talked about the ASVAB and we talked about ACT and SAT. Well, I will start with the ACT and ACT. So the program has 7 timed tests in the ACT and ACT as if they were taking the actual test by section. It gets timed. Once they hit submit, the program immediately analyzes the questions. The questions are very similar to what they will find on an actual ACT and SAT test. Once they hit submit, the program looks at all the answers, and all the answers that were missed, the program would automatically do a customized lesson plan for that individual at the end of the test, so that that individual can go back, look, take the lessons that they missed, and take the test again. Now, everybody knows that the more times you take a test, the better you will do when you taking the actual test. Exactly. So I would just say that this particular program, sub-program within the March to Success is value in gold. I can tell you from experience, I have used this with family members. I have used it with friends, and their scores, when I have compared them on the SAT, have increased to about 20-30% from what they scored originally.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am. And the more they do it, the better they will score. The ACT also has a game that same program has a game called 0 Hour Threat, which is video games. We know that kids like to play video games, but they can actually play games and they can get some lessons as they're going through the games. So again, the ACT and ACT for any type of students that is now getting geared to take the ACT and ACT, very, very good. Now, for the ASVAB, we have a course called the High School Preparation Program. Parents, if you have any students in 7th and 8th grade that are way ahead of their time, you can actually log in to this program, put them on the High School Preparation Program. It will do the same thing. It has English, mathematics, science subjects that they can actually take. They get customized lesson plan for each and one of those sections. But the good thing for the 7th, 8th, and 9th grader is that it will prepare them for a high school to see what rigors they're going to have while they're in high school. If you're in 9th in 10th grade and you kind of miss something between those grades, you can take that, and you can also review to make sure that you are catching on to the subject matter, and you can catch up to your peers in whatever grade that is. This is called the high school preparation program, but it doesn't stop there. I know I sound like a commercial, but
No, keep going. Keep going. This is great info. Keep going.
I love this program because I know and I have seen the results of people that take it. Now, those that do take it, you have to kind of be disciplined to be there, take the lessons, and work on them. And if you do that for 3 to 4 weeks, I can guarantee that scores will definitely increase and improve, no matter where you're at. When we have applicants that are trying to join the Army and they either need to study because they did not do well on the initial test, or before they go take the test, I always suggest that they take the high school preparation program that is going to help them review all those topics and subjects so that they are aware that that is something that is going to look and that they're going to be seeing in the ASVAB. For the AFQT, which is the score that we look at for when someone takes the ASVAB, is called the Armed Forces Qualitative Test. That score is the one that determines whether or not someone what type of job someone is going to have. And we're looking for anywhere between 31 and above. So from 31 to 49 is kind of the tier 2 category, and then 50 and above is tier 1. So pretty much anybody that has a 50 and above on the AFQT score gets a lot of the jobs that they're kind of, if they qualify otherwise, they will look and be able to get those jobs. So any student that is looking to have that score 50 or better, I suggest that they get on the high school preparation program and study before they take it, so that they are able to get a good job, the job that they're actually looking for. But the March to Success also has a whole STEM program built within it: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Not only do they have that, but they also have, if homeschool parents have kids that want to learn about nursing, we have a program called the Nursing PACS RN that helps those students prepare for the nursing exam.
Wow, nice.
We have another one. Those that want to be a doctor, a medical college admission test, the MCAT.
Yes.
Same thing is there, and they can actually study those concepts before they take the test. We have the dental admission test, which is the DAT. Same things for those that want to do dental study for the dental test. There is also a program within it that helps students look at college readiness. How are they ready to take the college? Are they where are the scholarships? It helps them prepare and look for the FAFSA scholarships. It has a lot of videos that kind of talks to them about living in a college, doing that entrance exams and all that kind of stuff. So this is all free. The program also has something that parents may love, and I left it for last because I think it's the best thing that the program has. For any parent out there that wants to see how well their students are doing in any given test subject, whether it's English, mathematics, science, the history, and all that stuff, the parent is able to link themselves to that student. So the parent will register as a parent, the student will register as a student, and then the parent will give that student a number so that they can actually put it there, a code, and then the student will put it in their website, and then they will both be linked. And so now the parent can say, hey, or since the parent is the teacher, you can say, hey, son, daughter, I need you to do this as a special project. I need you to do this as extra credit. I need you to do whatever. And then what is good about it is that the parent will click on that name, on their kid's name, and it will give them a kind of a progress report. How many times have they been into the website? Where have they missed? Where in that given subject, are they weak in something? Are they strong in something else? Did they complete what the parent said that they needed to complete? So this gives the parent more more control to see where their kids are at as far as education is concerned, or the subjects are concerned. You heard me say that it's free.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, it's
Definitely.
something really free. Kevin, you laughed. You smile, Kevin. I know.
Kevin's a
There,
lawyer, so he's like, okay, give a little
there
bit
is
more detail, right?
there is no such thing as free.
Right, that's what he.
Amen.
It is free for the user. However, if your parent, if your mother or father, or if you're a taxpayer, you are paying for it with your tax money. So for the user can log in, the user can put their information in, and it will be free. Zero, no obligation from anybody trying to get them to join the Army, nothing. Anyone can use it anywhere that they have a computer and internet service. The Army has partnered with Peterson's and Education Options, and we have a contract with them, and that's how we're able to provide it for free. We're trying to get the program all across the United States to help in our communities, help those students that are not scoring well. As you probably have heard in the news, we're in a downward trend when it comes to education. So this is something that the Army is trying to help our communities, our homeschool parents, to do better, to score better, to learn better. And that's why we are offering this program for free to anyone that needs to use it or wants to use it. I did leave something out of it. And if you log into march2success.com, you're also going to see some apps that we have that are excellent. We have the chemistry app that helps students mix all the different type of chemistry and figure out whether it's going to explode, if they do well together, if they bond, all that good stuff. We also have a soccer and football app that helps coaches figure out plays and things of that nature. And again, I think that Sergeant Cardona mentioned it earlier, this GoArmy.com app and a career navigation app for anybody that's looking to figure out what type of career they want to be in. Where is it paying better? How much is it paying in Florida versus Alaska? Things like that. It just helps, because I always believe that the more information you have, the better decisions the students will make
Exactly.
overall. And so
Exactly.
this is nothing but a community service for all of our homeschoolers. And I just would like to add for those homeschool leaders, homeschool parents out there, that I'm sure you heard me talk about the ASVAB. And I will be remiss if I don't say this, because if I leave here, it will be weighing very heavily on my heart to not be able to talk about this other program that will help your students with career exploration. We can offer the ASVAB program. Now, the ASVAB is not controlled by the Army. It's a Department of Defense program. It's not an Army program.
Right.
So I just want to put that out there. However, we are able to link a homeschool co-op, a group of homeschoolers, with the MAPS ESS, my counterpart, the Military Entrance Processing Station Education Service Specialist. We can link them together, and then we can have that particular person provide a test for homeschoolers. Now, let me tell you why I believe this is a great resource for your students. First of all, they will take the ASVAB. is called a student ASVAB test. They will take the ASVAB. Then once they take the ASVAB, somebody like myself, an ESS, will come out and they will provide what we call a career exploration program post-test interpretation. So what that does is they'll take a career exploration program. It's a series of questions to determine their personality, the likeness of jobs, all that kind of stuff. It was developed by John Hallen, who was a psychiatrist, and he developed this test that we use. So once they do that career exploration program, what we're able to do is we're able to come out and say, okay, look, it says here that you are a very sociable person and you want to be a mathematician. However, your math scores on the ASVAB kind of tell me that you need to study up a little more. So let's get you on March to Success and get your scores up there. And then the program itself, the ASVAB post-test interpretation, will direct the student for career choices, not just in the Army, but any type of civilian career choices, the best colleges to go to achieve that career goal, so on and so forth. So it is again, a free resource that any parent, any co-op, any school, homeschool leader can take to get somebody from the MEPS to provide that test and see really what type of jobs that particular student may want to do and how are their scores compared to that.
Okay.
I know I talked a lot, so thank you.
That was awesome. I appreciate that. Kevin, did you have something?
Yeah. So question, Nelson, when if someone takes the ASVAB, say 2 or 3 times, does the Army look at the highest score that they take? Do they average those scores?
Okay, so a student, remember I told you there the two types of testing. If an applicant goes into the MEPS and they don't take it via a school, then the last score is the one that they are going to keep. So for example,
Okay.
if I went today and I came to see Sergeant Cardona and she takes me tomorrow to the MEPS and I take the ASVAB and I score 35 and I say, well, I want to study some more. And then the next time I go, I think they have to wait about a month, right? Before they can take it?
If you have a qualifying test score, per regulation, you're not allowed to retake the test just to try and increase your score. So the way the ASVAB works, if you get a 31 or higher and you qualify, there are qualifying jobs available, you keep that score, that test score. The only loophole there really is if they do take the ASVAB test in high school, we don't always have to use that score.
Right.
So we encourage students at sophomore and above to take the ASVAB in high school. Number one, I call it another practice test for them to kind of get familiar with what's on there, and then they can know a little bit better what they need to study in school or, different areas that way.
Right.
But if they don't do well on that one, then we can send them to MEPS and do a test there, and that one will count. But once they have a qualifying score, that score is good for 2 years.
Okay.
So maybe a takeaway is, take advantage of the March to Success program prior to taking that qualifying test, right?
As a student.
Exactly.
And you can actually take it as a student. We have some schools, some public schools that actually take the test during the fall, and then they go ahead and give it again to the same kids in the springtime. And what they'll do is they'll compare scores. Again, the tests that are given at the school level are, again, a community service. However, if someone scores well, then the recruiter is able to use that score for enlistment from the school.
Right.
Now, at the MEPS,
right.
And I'm glad that I have Sergeant Cardona next to me, because at the MEPS it's a different story.
Yes.
The MEPS is not a school, but the school is something that we offer for students to kind of see where they're at and to study and get better. So we want them to look at the before, look at the after, and the during, and they can take it in the sophomore year, junior year, and senior year.
Okay.
So I have a question about that.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sergeant, first.
If you have a homeschool student that they're a junior or a sophomore, are they able to go to the local high school and take the test?
Yes. Any student is able to go to, and that's a great question, sorry. They just have to first know which school is going to provide the ASVAB, and then they will have to go to the guidance counselor, the parent, and just ask that person be admitted into the school during the test day, and they can go in as long as the school says okay. They can go and sit down and take the test, and then once the test scores come back, then the parent will have to go pick up the scores, or if the guidance counselor is okay with it, that homeschool student can go to the class and sit down and hear the post-test interpretation and do the career exploration program. So yes, it's very doable. They're able to go to the local schools and do that, or if they have a group of students, the MEPs can come to them and provide that as well.
I really have, gosh, I thought I knew a lot about the enlistment process, but I've learned so much. I'm sure our viewers have. I want to remind people we're getting ready to come to a close, but if you have any questions, we're going to turn our attention to questions that are in the chat. But I did want to make sure that emphasis was placed on the opportunity that Nelson Castillo was mentioning for homeschoolers, particularly those who are part of homeschool support groups or co-ops, who have this opportunity to contact the local MEPs and be able to get a program specifically for your homeschool students that are part of your group, where they would have the opportunity to participate in the March to Success. Obviously, anyone can sign on, march2success.com, and access it from the privacy of their own home, which is still advisable as well. But if you are a homeschool support group leader, this is a great free opportunity to benefit a service that can be provided to your students, where they have the ability to be guided along the process and to retake the test and to get feedback about how they did and how they didn't do and what areas they need to improve. So if that's something you're interested in, then definitely you want to look into that. I'm hoping we'll be able to put some links in the comments for you to access. But again, the program for March to Success is just that, MARCH, the number 2, success.com. Let's go ahead and turn our attention to the questions because we are close to our time. Let's see here. Tina Keto, if you're still with us, if not, you may come back to the replay. Thank you for joining us. She says, I have a son who is aspiring to become a military pilot. What does the Army offer and how can he prepare as he begins high school?
So really all he needs to do is just stay in school and focus on his classes. Obviously, you know, mathematics, science, things like that. If he wishes to become a pilot, then his senior year or after his senior year, he can come and see us. We do have something called High School to Flight School. And that is where if they qualify, once they sit down with us, they would come in as a warrant officer or warrant officer candidate. And then they would go to basic training. Then they would go to warrant officer candidate school for 6 weeks. And once they graduate from there, then they would go to flight school at Fort Rucker. So yes, they are possible. It is possible for them to do that. Just the biggest thing is stay in school.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. Stay in school, right? That's the answer you're going to hear across the board, right? Okay, Amy, thank you for joining us. Amy Steinke, I think it is. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. What about a state where you have your child go to an unaccredited private school?
Okay, so
Somebody want to tackle that one?
Yeah, no, yes. Well, you know, my mind has been dialed into the homeschool, so it took me a minute to get
Yeah,
to get my hat
unaccredited
on.
private school.
Well, we look at private schools as long as the private school is registered with the state in which they belong. So Florida, Texas, wherever that private school is at, if they are registered with the state and they are providing the type of education just like a regular private school or a public school, then one of our ESSs, wherever they're at, we will visit the school. We will make sure that they're following all the laws, that they're doing everything that is supposed to be done, and then we will add that school into our system and then be able to do an evaluation on that particular transcript and get the applicant into the service, at least educational wise, qualifying
Okay.
that way.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I see we're at the top of the hour. I appreciate, looks like Sayuri Waldrop. Thank you for the valuable information. Scarlett Letterman was joining us from Lemoore Naval Air Station. And then Tina says, thank you for all of this helpful information. We are an active duty military family, and our boys are both interested in military careers. March to Success sounds like a wonderful resource. So that's great. I do see the links that were put in there for the March to Success program. As we close out, I wanted to go ahead and just say thank you so much, Nelson. Thank you so much, Kevin, for joining us. Thank you, Sergeant First Class Cardona, for joining us as well. This is a great opportunity. We could continue talking about this for quite a
Yes.
while. So I want to make sure that our families have some links to be able to get further information. Obviously, our awesome attorney Kevin mentioned earlier that if you have any questions specifically that come up legally, reference enlistment, not just in the Army, but in any of the branches of service, please definitely reach out to our legal team. They are there to support you and to give you guidance and answers. Um, Nelson, thank you again so much for coming on and talking about the program. Appreciate the information. And so, as military families, we do face, as military homeschool families, rather, we face unique challenges. So at HSLDA, we're working hard to develop resources that will help you find connection and encouragement. We maintain a growing list of homeschool groups that a family can search, including overseas military support groups, state and local ones. I would like to cultivate and grow those groups. So if you are a leader of a military homeschool support group, please reach out to me at military@hslda.org. I am working with Darren Jones, our group services attorney, to get more of our military homeschool groups listed in the directory so that our families have the ability, when we PCS, one of the main things we look for is what are the support groups in that next at the next duty station. And so please help me with that. Also, we talked about the legal services that we have. I mentioned our awesome educational consultants teams that we have that answers questions from early years all the way to high school about special needs as well, NCAA, military, all the things. We even have bilingual consultants. So please definitely make sure you're utilizing all of your benefits if you are a member. If you're not already a member, we would love for you to join HSLDA. So to find out more about joining, if you're military, there's a military join link that we should be able to put into the chat. If you are not military, you won't be eligible for that military discount, but we do have a link for you at http basically, let's go with this one, hslda.org/join. That would be a lot easier for you. Again, thank you so much. The military link is hslda.org/military discount. So that would give you access to that. So I think we're finished for today. I appreciate all of our viewers, even those who watch the replay. Please know that this is available as a replay. Comments are often we are able to come back and answer comments as well. So once you watch the replay, if you have questions, if you want to reach Nelson Castillo, definitely we can. I don't know if we have quick access to his email, but you can definitely reach me at military@hslda.org, and I can connect you as well with Nelson. I see Eva says, HSLDA, will there be future live sessions with other military branches or military academies? It is definitely part of my plan. Eva, thank you so much for asking that question. Yes, I do want to do something with the academies. We have done one with oh gosh, I'm trying to remember. We did another one on military enlistment as well. All of those prior Facebook Lives and webinars regarding military live on one main place is YouTube. So if you go to HSLDA's YouTube page, if you click under playlist, at the top is the military playlist, and you can access the ones we've already done. So I think we are finished. I appreciate our video team for hanging in there past the hour. Thank you all so very, very much. And just we will regather again at some future date, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.